guys, how are you? Today I'm doing a video dedicated solely to destination weddings. I myself got married in Thailand 2 years ago, and I thought what better way to help other brides or soon-to-be brides or family of brides, friends or family who are engaged, or even yourself, and you're just trying to decide whether a destination wedding is the way to go. Stop everything you're doing, get all other ideas out of your head, because I am majorly pro destination weddings. It was the most amazing idea and decision that we could have made, and I will never ever regret it, not even one single second. So if you want to learn more about my experience, hear a bit of advice that I've got from everything from reaching out to different resorts or hotels or locations overseas, what sort of theme you want. Are you traditional? Are you more beachy? What time of year, depending on weather and prices, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to do a couple of different videos. This specific one is choosing a destination wedding. So it's all about how I chose to do it. It was a pretty easy choice for me, but all of the sort of decisions and sort of planning and different ideas and things you got to think about when choosing a destination wedding. So if you or someone you know is interested in choosing a destination wedding for their big day, keep watching. So planning a wedding can be hard enough without trying to decide where in the world you're going to do it. For me and my experience, I live in Sydney, Australia. I'm originally from New Zealand, and I have family and friends in New Zealand, in Australia, and in all other parts of the world. So for us, when we got engaged, we were actually in Thailand, and we were having the most amazing time. We hadn't been to Thailand before, and we loved it. It was an incredible experience and a holiday that I will never forget. It was my husband and I's first big major overseas holiday that wasn't just, an hour or two away. So we had a ball, and we were just buzzing on the idea of, sharing Thailand with all of our friends and family. So when we got engaged, we instantly decided we were going to get married there. It really wasn't a hard decision. So basically, it can be a bit tricky, because you can get really caught up in what you think other people want. And so probably my biggest, most important piece of advice, regardless of whether you're getting married overseas or within your home country, within your own city, is just do whatever the hell you want to do. If you start to get really hung up on asking everybody's opinion on things to try and gauge, or to try and help you make decisions, what you'll find is that you'll end up making all these decisions that you actually didn't necessarily want to do. The best thing to do is, we had a 2-year engagement. We had a 2-year engagement. So basically, we came home from holiday in Thailand, and just spent that first year, we just kind of celebrated our engagement, and then we just chilled and spent that first year just really, I did. It's not like he did a lot, but in that first year, but I really spent that first year just hanging out, going to bridal expos, getting magazines, looking on Pinterest, and just really enjoying that time. And then it wasn't until the second year that we basically were head first into the planning, and that whole year was dedicated to planning right up until we left to go to the wedding. So so 2 years is a really good amount of time, because I feel like we had a year where we just really enjoyed the whole idea of getting married without any of the stress, and then the second year had more of that sort of, we've really got to lock this in, we've got to get all the RSVPs, and while it doesn't have to be stressful, it just can end up being in some different parts. So basically, once you once you've decided on that you're going for the destination wedding idea, I promise you, you will not regret it. So full steam ahead with that. The next big decision, I guess, is choosing where to have your wedding. For us, we chose Thailand. Obviously, we got engaged there. We really loved it, so it was kind of a no-brainer. And it really worked out well because it was basically in the middle of the world for our friends and family that was scattered all over the world. So it really wasn't like, certain people were having to travel twice as far and spend twice as much money on flights and that kind of thing. It was all pretty much worked out really well to be about even for everybody. So that was really, really good, and something that it was just one less thing that you had to sort of just worry about, like, oh, are people going to think it's too expensive, or, are we asking too much? At the end of the day, back to my number one rule is just don't worry about the little stuff like that, because if people want to come, they will come. You could say, my wedding is in England in a month, and you could live in New Zealand. If those people who really love you really want to come and will, doesn't even matter what obstacles are in the way, they'll make it happen. I mean, that's a very extreme example, but try not to get caught up on all that kind of stuff, because you'll end up changing all of your plans, and you'll look back and you'll say, oh, I really wanted a destination wedding, but it was just too hard because so and so couldn't get there, and blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, there's always going to be people and loved ones that you really, really want there that just aren't going to be able to make it for whatever reason. And that is just something that you have to deal with and get over, because, yeah, I mean, I've never been to anyone's wedding where all of the people they wanted were there. It just happens that way. The main thing is that most of the people, or a majority of guests that you invite actually turn up, so you'll be fine. Basically, so once deciding on that and where you're going to have it in the world, I guess the time of year is quite important depending on your location. So we chose to have our wedding in Koh Samui in Thailand. We chose Koh Samui in the end. A whole lot of factors. It was not somewhere that we initially had thought of because we'd never been there. So we just went, oh God, well, maybe we'll not go somewhere we've never been because it will just make things harder, and you have that kind of fear of turning up and it not being anything like what you thought. We had really good recommendations about Koh Samui in general, but it just wasn't really on our radar to begin with because we hadn't been there. But in the end, we chose Samui, and we chose to have our wedding in October. So that was partly because of our schedules. October's the best time for us to take a chunk of time off, and also we chose that time because of the prices of accommodation. It basically is the very end of the low season, just before high season. So it was the end of October. High season is from November onwards. So we were really happy with that because it meant that all our accommodation prices for us and all of our guests would be the low season prices, so the cheapest that you'd be able to get. Another great piece of advice, and a must do, is that when you have locked in your resort or location that you're getting married, wherever you're choosing to stay with your guests, whether it's the same place or not, make it really clear that you're coming, you're having your wedding, whether you're having it there or not, but make it very clear that you're with a big wedding group of people. We had 30 people, so we basically, when we booked our wedding at the specific resort, we made it really clear that there were how many people there were going to be, and that we would really like to stay at that resort. It was a sort of a boutique 4 to 5 star resort, so it was on the more expensive side, but we really wanted to have all of our guests sort of in the one place, so it was nice and easy for everybody. and they didn't have to travel or worry about getting, you know, hopping from one resort to another where the wedding was at one place and the accommodation was at another, just to save a few dollars. So what I did was I contacted them in regards to the accommodation, and I said, look, we've got this many people, we really want to stay at the resort, looks amazing, can you do an accommodation deal for us because we're bringing such a large group of people? And they straight away said yes, absolutely, of course, and they gave a huge discount because I guess for them they want you to stay. If you're going to stay, you're going to eat, you're going to drink, you're going to have a great time, so it's a win-win for them as well. So definitely was worth doing that. And what's the worst that can happen? They can sort of come back and say, oh no, for whatever reason, or, you know, whatever. So it's definitely worth trying, and it will 100%, you will 100% get results with that. Like, you know, that's just sort of a known thing, is as long as you just have to ask, basically. So there was that decision. So yeah, so the time of year, and also it was a really good time for the weather. For us, it was, we had really, really amazing weather. I think it rained one day for probably like 10 minutes or something, and was a bit grey for the rest of the day, but it was still really, really warm and hot, so it didn't really make any difference. And that was after the wedding. We had a whole week before the wedding where we had invited all of our friends and family to come early if they wanted, so that we could hang out and have a holiday and go out and eat and do activities and, you know, drink, and we had our hens and our bucks parties over there in that week too. So that was really great because it meant that the people of our friends and family who hadn't actually met yet, by the time the wedding came, everyone was best friends, and everyone had personal jokes going, and everyone had been drunk around each other, and all the inhibitions had been lost, so everyone was very comfortable, and that was a big conscious decision that we made for that exact reason as well. So that was a really good idea, and I recommend that too. Your wedding goes by really, really fast in the day because there's just so much happening, and there's all these emotions, and you're with all of your friends and family, and so you're chatting and laughing and dancing with all sorts of people, that you just wake up the next day and you're just like, what happened? So having that week before really gave us time to just settle in and really enjoy, and we felt like we caught up with everybody, and it was just a really, really good, solid decision that paid off hugely for us. In terms of having a destination wedding and how many guests to invite, with us, we invited about 60 people, and we ended up with bang on half. We ended up with 30 plus the two of us. So again, at the time you're sending out, you'll save the dates, and you know, people are getting back to you and everyone's really excited, and initially we found that everyone was like, yes, 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 yes. And then of course, once we sent the invites out a couple of months later, there started to be sort of one or two who realised, oh, actually I can't get any time off work, or you know, friends found out that they were having a baby, or other family and friends ended up buying property, and then they weren't able to actually, you know, really afford to come. So things do come up, and it's never personal. You just kind of, you kind of go, oh, it's like a little tiny piece of your heart breaks, because you think, no, like, I really want them to come and have fun and enjoy the wedding that, you know, that we're sort of having and sort of putting on and wanting everyone to enjoy. But that's just comes with it, unfortunately. But things to consider really are obviously, how many guests do you want to invite, and you know, will they be able to get to your destination easily? Is it a good time of year to go price wise for flights and accommodation, etc. And then you sort of, you know, once you sort of decide on your destination, really don't change it unless unless you're somewhere Timbuktu and people are just like, nah, can't get there. there can always be an alternative, and it will still be really beautiful and amazing. But yeah, so a big one is, can they get there easily? For us, in the end, choosing Koh Samui, it was a really easy decision, because while there was depending on where you were coming from, for us and for New Zealanders, obviously they would have to get 2 flights. We got 2 flights, so you flight majority of the way and then you domestically fly. Others, from Hong Kong or from London or whatever, sort of the same thing. You fly, you fly into Bangkok and then over to Samui. So everybody kind of had sort of similar flights to get there, so it wasn't too bad. And once they arrived in Samui, our accommodation was like 10 minutes away, and we easily organised transfers just through the hotels. So while I don't recommend that you wait and listen to everybody's wants and needs, it definitely helps in getting the numbers that you want and the people you want there, if you don't make it too hard. Then we had other places we were looking at where they would have to fly in to Bangkok and then get a domestic flight to, say, Phuket, but then would have to drive for 2 hours. And so, that kind of put us off in some places. So making it easy and relatively stress-free for everybody and your guests helps, and really does take the stress and pressure off your guests in deciding whether they can make it as well. What I did with Save the Dates was basically, once we had locked in where we were going to have it and locked in our date, I straight away sent out Save the Dates. Because we were having it in Thailand, I made little origami elephants, and I wrote on them. They were really small, like they just fit into like a little envelope, but they were only sort of like this big. And I wrote on the side of one side of them the date, and the other side I wrote hello in Thai. So that was really, really easy and very simple. I just learned how to make the elephant off YouTube and just whacked out like 30 of them in an hour or 2. So that was really cool, and something quite unique for people to receive. And then along with that, I actually printed out an A4 sheet of paper with all of the sort of main details that people would want to know in order to make the decision. So basically I did info about the accommodation, where we were going to be staying. We basically decided on everything we were doing, and then we said, if you want to come with us and stay with us, then please do. If you want to find your own accommodation, this is where we're staying, and this is the address, that type of thing, if you want to find your own one near there. In the end, everybody stayed where we wanted to stay, and that was really, really great. We chose really affordable accommodation at the first place we stayed at for the week when all our friends and family came to hang out and party with us, and then we actually moved on to the luxury boutique resort where we had the wedding the day before the wedding, and then we had a couple of days after. So what was I talking about? Yeah, so having all the information about those locations, having information about the accommodation types, the different room types and how much they were, and then also explaining that we had accommodation discounts, and so when they wanted to book their rooms, to clearly state that it was for our wedding, and then they would get the discounts, how to pay when they want to book, who to specifically ask for, the residential manager and the wedding planner person if they wanted any specific requests, just all that kind of stuff. And I think it really, really helped people just kind of like picture it all in their head of how it was going to go, because we wanted to make it as easy as possible for people, rather than them emailing and going, oh, well, what about this and what happens with this. I just thought if I give everyone all the information I know at the beginning, then they can make their decision, and I don't have to sit here like getting 1,000 emails of things, questions and things. really when it comes down to it, choosing a destination wedding is more about whether you are really tied to the place where you grew up, whether you have really elderly grandparents that you definitely know can't travel that are really special to you and you have to have there, or other family members, for example. And yeah, like, you know, do you have to get married in a church? You know, are you christened or baptized, that kind of thing? Or, you know, are you okay to let go of any sort of ties to a place where you grew up, and can you go take your wedding overseas? For us, it was the best decision we could have done, and we had such a good time. Our friends and family still talk about it today, and this is 2 years on, and it was just, while I was a ball of stress leading into it, just because I was thinking, well, are people going to be having fun, and are people going to, you know, are they not going to, you know, be too hot? Is there going to be enough alcohol? What about the food? What if they hate the food? What if it's a disaster? Of course it wasn't any of that, but you just, because you're working really hard, like for a solid year on trying to, you know, on making a day that is special for both you and your husband, but also like for your family. It's almost like a big thank you to like your family and friends for, you know, supporting you guys and your relationship. And you know, for us, we don't get to see a lot of our really good friends and family because we live somewhere different to a lot of them. So it was amazing to be able to go away, be on holiday, and be in holiday mode, and all of your friends and family are in holiday mode too. No one has to rush off, no one's got to go put the kids to bed, no one's, you know, got a big drive in the morning and can't drink, or, you know, whatever. So everyone had the most amazing time, and yeah, I don't even know what else to say. It was the best decision we could have ever made. Not to mention like amazing photos and being in great weather. Everybody was happy. It was the most positive, happy, fun experience ever. And I'll be so grateful for that forever and ever and ever and ever. So I think I'm gonna wrap this video up now. I think I've pretty much covered most of the main sort of things in sort of helping you decide whether to have a destination wedding. Do it. What I'm going to do is I've also got a planning a destination wedding video that I'm currently making at the moment. So once that is uploaded, then I'll have they'll all link to each other in the description box. If you've got any specific questions or queries, any kind of other advice that I can give you about helping you choose to plan your destination wedding, please comment below. I'm more than happy to answer all and any of your questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.